What's up, guys? In this video, we're going to try to build a simple quiz generator app with ChatGPT, Langchain, and Streamlit. So let's get started. I have my VS Code set up here on my left, and I'm already ready to access GPT-4 to help me with the coding of this app. Now, before we get started, let's just get a sense for what's the goal. I already have my kernel set up, so let's just save this as quiz app prototyping, because this is where we're going to prototype the app in Jupyter Notebook, and then we're going to build it as an actual Python file. So let's come here, and I'm going to access my kernel. Bye-bye. So my kernel is right here, Jupyter kernel, and I'm going to access my kernel quiz app, etc. So now let's test with importing Langchain, which is going to be one of the frameworks we're going to be using for this app. Perfect, it's working fine. So before we get started, let's just talk about the structure of this app. Now the structure is going to be something like, I want to be able to, given let's say a page of a PDF, right? Let's just talk about goals of the quiz app. So given a page of a PDF, or given a concept, or whatever the case may be, we're going to try to make a quiz on that concept or on a page of a PDF or whatever we want. Right? We want a simple interface, and we want to be able to quickly generate flexible, let's say, quizzes. And when I say flexible, I mean I want to be able to generate any type of questions. For example, true or false questions, text-based questions, or multiple choice, for example. And I want feedback on the answers, as you guys should expect, right? So those are some of the goals that we have for this app. We want to, given a page of a PDF or given a concept, or whatever the trigger is to create a quiz to test ourselves in some knowledge, we want to be able to create a flexible quiz that has multiple types of questions. We want to make it quick, and we want to make it usable. So how do we do that? Well, let's start with let's set up a baseline of what we're talking about. So I'm gonna start by importing some stuff. I'm gonna import OpenAI, okay, and we're gonna be using OpenAI to access the ChatGPT model, at least initially, and then we're probably gonna move to Langchain once we're settled on what we want, okay? And we're going to import OpenAI, and we're going to define the getResponse function, right, given a prompt. And this is just the boilerplate for setting up an app with ChatGPT. So we're going to say, okay, so response is equal to OpenAI dot check completion. And then here we're going to say, model is equal to GPT 3.5 Turbo, and then we're gonna give, I always forget, so I'm gonna give the code for that because I always forget the face of this function. So I have it here, great. I have it saved in one of the automations that I have. So I'm gonna come here, I'm just gonna paste this thing here. So we're setting up a simple call to the OpenAI API just to get things started. So we're setting up the model. In this case, we're gonna be working with GPT 3.5 Turbo first, or should I go with GPT-4? Now let's go with GPT-4 first, because we want to, prototype quick. Yeah, GPT-4. And then the role of the system is going to be a helpful research and programming assistant. You're an expert in all the subjects. We're gonna stay with this system prompt right now. So we're gonna define the behavior as the standard thing that it always is. But once we get more comfortable with our app, we might revisit this, okay? And now let's just test it raw, right? Test it right on the ChatGPT API. So create a quiz about, I don't know, the basics of machine learning. Maybe this is too broad. The basics of Python, sure. Yeah, create a quiz about the basics of Python and get a response, and we're gonna feed that prompt, and let's see what we get in return. So this is just so that we can get started with this thing, okay? I'm gonna put it like this, okay. So you guys can see well what we're getting here. And now it's taking way too long. Well, this is gonna be a big answer, so that makes sense. So let's see what we get. There you go. So now we got our quiz, and then here's a bunch of questions about Python code and ta-da-dee-ta-da-da. I should have saved this to a variable. Why didn't I save quiz Python? Sorry guys, we're gonna do that again. And yeah, okay. And now here, while that thing is running, I'm gonna say from IPython, import markdown and display if I want to show an image, sure. And then I'm gonna say markdown quiz Python because I want to see the answer from ChatGPT in a nicely formatted way. Can I import markdown? What did I do wrong? Maybe it's like this. Nope. So let's see, from IPython import markdown. I don't remember. Let's ask ChatGPT how to import markdown from IPython. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Install IPython. It's .display. I forgot the .display. Markdown. Thank you. There we go. Now we got the answer. Okay, so going back. So this is the basic quiz that we got. What is Python? Snake, a game, an operating system, a high-level programming language. That's a terrible quiz. That really doesn't address what we meant when we said create a quiz about the basics of Python programming, right? However, I mean, we can't really blame ChatGPT. I mean, this is a quiz related to Python, so it's not like he got it wrong. Sorry, whatever, it got it wrong. Okay, so from here, where do we go? Now we say, okay, we have to be specific. So what are some of the requirements for this app? So let's say requirements for the app, okay? So one, we have to be specific. We have to be able to feed in information, contextual information, right? Sure. We also want to be able to specify the types of questions that we want. So we want to be able to specify the types of questions we want created, like true or false, multiple choice, text, etc. Okay, so now, yeah, so this is essentially what we want. We want to be able to be specific, we want to be able to feed in contextual information, and we want to be able to specify the types of questions that we want created. So to enforce these rules and these requirements that we want from this app, what do we have to do? Well, the thing that we can do here is say, all right, let's focus on the first part. We want to be specific. In order to be specific, we want to settle on a template for the prompt to create, we want to be able to say, okay, what's going to be the user input in this app and what's going to be our preparation of the prompt for the large language model. So to do this separation of concerns, let's use Langchain, all right? So let's use Langchain. So we're gonna say from Langchain, so I wanna say, okay, so I wanna import from Langchain dot templates. Why do I always forget these things? Jesus Christ. Wait, I have a reference right here. Okay, so from Langchain import prompt template, right? And now we're gonna set up the prompt template like as specified in the Langchain documentation. So we're gonna say, okay, let's import this, and we're gonna say, okay, the template is gonna be something like, you are an expert quiz maker for, let's say, for technical fields. We're going to be specific here so that we see if we can get something out of using this this useful kind of like preparation for the model. So you're an expert quiz maker for technical fields. Create a quiz about the following. This way, I'm thinking if I say create a quiz about the following, it can either be like a concept or a piece of text and whatever. The problem with create a quiz is that it doesn't give us a lot of flexibility, right? So let's add that flexibility right now. We're gonna say create a quiz about the following. Create questions, right? So we want to be able to specify the number of questions we want, because within this specific thing, we want to specify the number of questions we want. So let's say create a certain number of questions, create a quiz with certain number of questions about the following concept / content. Quiz content. Let's call this quiz context because it's going to be the context for which we will create the quiz. Okay, so this is what we have right now, all right? So we want to say you're an expert quiz maker for technical fields. Create a quiz with number of questions about the following concept content. Okay. And now let's say and let's add here quiz type. And here we're going to be able to specify the thing that we discussed, which is the specifying the types of questions that we want created. Okay, and yes, right now we're going to have that limitation of we're going to create a bulk of questions of one type, but this is something that, you know, as we evolve with the app, we could, you know, change in the future. So we want to say, okay, create a quiz with a certain number of questions. This is the quiz type. And about this concept. Okay, perfect. So now that we have that, we can write our prompt template just like in the Langchain documentation. So we can say prompt is the prompt template, and then we give the template, and now we can test it by doing the formatting. So we can say, okay, so prompt.format, and now we have to fit in, and GitHub Copilot already did it for me. We have to fit in the parameters that we specify within the template. So in this case, we're specifying the number of questions. We're specifying the quiz type, which in this case, I guess I'm doing multiple choice. And we're specifying the context, which is going to be, in this case, let's say something basic like data structures in Python programming. Okay, so this is a little bit more specific, and we can, do something a little bit more interesting. So now I have a problem. It takes one, but two were given. Init. Okay. Template takes one, but two were given. Prompt template. Because I didn't call the from template thing. So dot from template, and now there you go. Okay, so now we formatted our prompt, and now that we've done that, let's now test the effectiveness of this approach. So we're gonna say so now we're gonna call the LLM, right? So to call the LLM, we have to say, okay, so from Langchain dot chat models import chat OpenAI, and we want to call the we want to call this model with our template. So to do that, we need as well the chain, which in this case is the LLM chain. There we go. And now that we have the LLM chain, we're gonna put it all together. Okay, perfect. So now to put it all together, we just need to feed this prompt to an LLM chain along with the large language model, and we're not going to concern ourselves with output parsing. So we're going to say, okay, so the chain is equal to LLM chain, and then we're going to say the LLM is equal to chat OpenAI, and then the prompt is going to be equal to prompt, which is the prompt that we defined before, and there we go. We have our chain formed. And now we can say, all right, chain.run, and we're gonna say we have to specify the information that we said before. So we have to specify these three inputs that we have right here. So we have to say something like, I think I can call it like this. There you go. Nice. And I should have quiz response. And again, we're gonna display with Markdown to show it pretty. So let's take a look to see what it looks like. And there we go. So now our quiz is starting to look a little bit better, right? So question one, which of the following data structures is used to store a collection of elements where each has a unique key associated with it? And we have list, a set, a dictionary, and a tuple. And look at that. We even have the answers here. So 1 is C, dictionary, B is A, stack, and C is, and exercise 3 is array. Nice. All right. So our app is looking pretty good. I'd say that this little approach here is looking quite promising. We went from, create a basic quiz, and then we settled on some structure. We gave it a prompt template, we formatted, and now we have a chain that we can essentially use. And as long as we fit in the information that we specified here, we're good to go. I think that for the purposes of this demonstration, we can use this now, and let's try to wrap it in a Streamlit app, all right? Just to see what this thing would look like. So to do that, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put this on the left. And here on the right, I'm gonna save something as quizapp.py. And we're gonna wrap everything into a function that does all the stuff that we discussed here in this notebook, and we're gonna specify some modules in the app to kind of compartmentalize everything and then create the wrapper with Streamlit to showcase the quiz and giving the options and all that stuff. So let's do that. So first we're gonna need Langchain. We're gonna Langchain template. All right. So we're gonna copy this thing here, and then we're gonna say, okay, we're gonna have a few functions. The first one is the create the quiz template. And for creating the quiz template, we're gonna give this information here, right? So this creates the quiz template. And then let's return, I'm not sure, maybe like this, prompt template.prompt, and then we have the prompt. When we call it later here, what we need is the prompt, and then we're good to go. So create the quiz prompt template, okay? Yeah, and then we're gonna say, okay, return this prompt. So now this is the first one, and now the second one is going to be creating the chain. Sure, why not? Create the quiz chain, and that's gonna take in the prompt template, right? And it's going to take in the LLM model, and it's going to just return the LLM chain with the LLM equal to LLM and prompt equal prompt template. And from Langchain dot chains import LLM chain. Okay. So now this is creating our chain, and we have the chain right here. And yeah. And now we can just set up, let's say, run chain.run. Now, I guess that's all right. It should have been quiz response. There you go. Okay, so now we create the quiz chain with the prompt template and the large language model. Yeah, and now we're just going to work on the Streamlit side of things. So let's import Streamlit now. Okay, nice. So now that we imported Streamlit, we're gonna say, okay, so if name is equal to main, right? We're gonna call the main function, and now we're gonna define the main function, and the main function is gonna define our app. So our app starts, and we have to set up some stuff, right? Oh, nice. Already got some stuff from GitHub Copilot, so yeah. This app generates a basic, sure, prompt template, yeah, LM chain quiz app model. That is not true. LM is actually from langchain.chat models import chat OpenAI. And now, yeah, I can say this. Okay, so now we're specified the LLM. Now I'm gonna create my chain, and I did the prompt template that was already created over there. I have the chain. So now enter the context for the quiz. Enter the concept or context for the quiz. Yeah. Then the user should be able to specify the number of questions, the type of the quiz, which is going to be multiple choice, true, false, or open question. Open-ended, sure. Open-ended, yeah, those are the three types. And then generate the quiz. Generate the quiz is gonna call The chain is going to say chain.run on this, and then we're going to say chain.generate the text. No. So the quiz is going to be here like this. Yeah. Quiz response, and then return this, and then return. We're going to say something like your quiz generated. Yeah. And now we can take a look at the app and see what it looks like. We can say stream, oh, gotta be in the right place. So let's come here, yeah, content creation. And now let's enter the folder and we're gonna run the quiz app. There we go. Okay, nice. Okay, we had a problem with some module. There was no module named Langchain. From Langchain import prompt template. Langchain quiz from book. Okay, so apparently I didn't have Langchain installed in this environment, and I was using a different kernel there, but now it should be good. There we go. So now let's see if it runs. Yes, all right. So we have our quiz app, and then it generates quiz based on a given context, enter the concept. Okay, so let's say something like probability, let's say expectation in probability and statistics. I want 3 questions, I want multiple choice. Generate a quiz. There we go. What is the math definition of expectation, probability, and statistics? All right, this is very nice. By typing the corresponding letter, right? Yeah, okay, so this is good. The generation part of our quiz seems to be going well. Let's test the other types. Let's say true, false, and let's generate the quiz. Quiz generated. So this is interesting. For the true, false question, the answers were shown to the user, right? But this is apparently is not something that's like, you know, it doesn't always happen. So we have to address this issue of, because we want an app that can show us the answer so we get feedback, right? That's how we learn and evolve. So we want to make sure that we always get the answers for the questions. So before we go address that in the notebook, let's check on the open-ended quiz. Let's take a look. And here we are. We have the questions, and again, in this case, there are no answers offered. So let's address this issue of the answers not being shown here to the user, and then we're going to address the issue of the model showing the app showing the answers when the user is supposed to actually, you know, answer the questions first, right? So let's address all these issues now. Okay, so to address these issues, we're going to have to address our prompt template. So we're going to say, okay, you're an expert quiz maker for technical fields. Create a quiz with X questions, a quiz type about the following content. And now we're going to add a few things. The format of the format of each quiz should be as such. So now it should be for the multiple choice, we're gonna give the format. It should be question, and then answer, and then, you know, answer one. Yeah. So it should be like A, B, C, and D. And then let's provide an example, sure, but first let's also say, and then let's show it that it should have as well a answer. So it should be like this, and then answer. A, B, C, or D, right? So now I'm trying to teach the model to, you know, always provide an answer for multiple choice questions. So it should be something like, yeah, question one, and then question two, and then like this, and then answer one, answer two, and then I'm going to put some points. And now let's show an example. We can say, what is the time complexity of binary search tree? Sure. There we go. Actually, GitHub Copilot is helping me generate the examples, so this is awesome. All right. And now let's provide the answer. There you go, perfect. True or false? True or false should be question, sure, and then true or false, and then it should, you know, question two, so, and then answer one, answer two. So as you can see, we're doing this kind of like few shot learning example with this approach to make sure that the model understands what it needs to do to generate each type of quiz question. Yeah, and now for the last type of, okay, so let's provide an example. Sure, why not? We can say example, a binary search tree is a data structure that is used to store data in a certain manner. Now this is the answer example. Let's say first we have to say something like, first we have to exemplify the question, right? So a binary, what is a binary search tree? And then how are, yeah, and then we can see some like answers. Binary search tree is a binary search tree implemented using linked lists. Perfect. So now we're giving you examples, and I want to say as well, one, yeah, same thing here. I just realized I'm giving examples for the open-ended example, so let's put this thing here, but I'm going to use the same questions. Yeah, I'm going to use the same questions. It's just that these are the wrong answers for this type of question. Oh, so I'm just going to copy this. And now I can get rid of this, go here, and now example, what is the data? And now I can say answers, one true, perfect. True, false, sure. Answers, yeah, I actually like this approach, 1B. Wonderful. So now, as you guys can see, we're building the context so that the model learns how to ask proper questions. Okay, so now we're going to do the open-ended example. Question 1. And then question 2, and then answer 1, and then answer 2. Maybe we can always say questions, answers, questions, answers. Yeah, this way it looks a little bit more organized. True or false? Yeah, true, false, exactly. And now we say questions. And we say answers. Perfect. And now you show an example. So you should say here questions. Oh. Yeah, wonderful. And now for the questions, we can come here and say the same thing. There we go. So as you guys can see, now we're building our quiz app example. So now we give an example. So what is the how are the answers, taradi tarada, taradi tarada. So I think that now we have a little bit more content on our answers, right? So now, yeah. And let's do some chain of thought prompting as well. Let's say at the end, let's think step by step so that we make sure, let's put that in the beginning. Think step by step. The format should be as such. Wonderful. And now we format our prompt. Okay. So now we have a little bit more structure. So let's see if that translates to a better app experience. I'm gonna copy this prompt template and I'm gonna put it here on this function. Great. And now let's save it and let's run the app again and see what happens. So now I'm gonna say always rerun and I'm gonna ask on the same topic so that we see if we see some improvement. So let's start with multiple choice and let's say generate quiz. One of the things I'm interested to see is if the app is actually respecting the format that we structured. And look at that. It is respecting the format. It is giving some pretty neat questions. I mean, we can take care of this thing with the ABCD and it's giving the answers. So this is looking pretty good. Let's look at true, false. Yes. So now the app is looking pretty good. And for the open-ended, again, I mean, it did say open-ended here, which is not supposed to, I guess. Let's see if we were saying that in the... Yeah, but as you guys can see, the answers look pretty good. Okay, so now I'm kind of satisfied with this for now. So what I would like to do, I mean, obviously there's like a bunch of stuff that you have to do in an app like this. For example, you would have to do fact verification, right? If you're building something for like the public to use, you want to make sure that your app is not creating a quiz with false information, right? And I mean, not only that, but like a bunch of other stuff. However, the stuff that I'm interested in adding now is I would like to make the app look a little bit better. So depending on the type of question that the user selects, I want to do two things. One, I want to make the question look a little bit better on Streamlit, on the user interface. And the second thing is I want to hide the answer so that the user only knows if he got it right after he responded to the questions. So to do that, I need to remember how to do the... Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. The only thing we're gonna do is we're gonna parse the output from the model and we want to parse so that we can have the questions and the answers, so that the user answers the questions first, and then he or she can press a button to show the replies, instead of showing the answers right away, which can spoil the whole quiz generation app experience, right? So that's what we're gonna do. So to do that, we're gonna need Langchain's output parser, which I always forget how to use. So I'm just gonna copy from the documentation, and then, okay. So I think I kind of remember. So it's right there. So let's come here. I'm gonna put it on my left so you guys can see. And on my right, I have the documentation from Langchain. Okay, so to give an output parser to a model in Langchain, we have to use the schema thing with the base output parser. And now we're gonna set up a class. Okay, there you go. So it's a class, comma, separated list output parser. And then we're gonna give the base output parser thing. Okay. And now we're gonna say parse the output of an LM call to a comma separated list. Okay. Let's take a look at what this thing looks like. I'm not sure what this thing is gonna look like. So let's just say def parse self text string. I'm just gonna write it so that I kind of like have a sense for what's going on here. Now you get out of here. So parse the output of the LLM call. Okay, so this function is gonna parse the output of the LLM call. Parse the output of an LLM call. Okay. And then it's gonna return text.strip .split. Okay, so it's giving this and returning as a list, because in the example it was just a bunch of like words in the reply. So I'm not a big fan of this parsing for this example. So what I would like to do is I want to know what is the ideal parsing for the type of, because we want to be able to get these guys, the answers, right? So yeah, so we want to parse these parts. So I want to just separate the output of the LLM model to get this part, answers and everything that's after that, so that I can hide it and only show to the user when it presses a button or finishes the questions. To do that's one option. The other option that I could do is structure the app so that the LLM call generates a JSON file, right? Like a JSON structured output with where I can have, the question, the quiz type, the answer, and then I do whatever I want with the data. This is an interesting approach as well. But I'm lazy and I'm tired, so I'm gonna take the easy route and we're gonna do just answers, and I'm just gonna parse this part. So, and I'm super lazy, so I'm gonna ask ChatGPT how to parse these types of things. So I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna say, okay, for a string like this, give me the Python code to parse the output and fetch only from the answers and after. Only answers and after. Let's take a look. Input string. Okay, so let's test this thing that I got from ChatGPT. Okay, let's see if it works. There you go. So that thing works, and I'm pretty okay with that. Find all. Yeah, he uses some regex. That's the thing I wanted. Search answers, and then for answering answers, parallel. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So now we're gonna this is gonna be our output parser. Yep. So answer section, search on X, and then do blah blah blah. Okay. So now let's figure out how to put this thing into this parse function in Langchain, which I'm not sure how to do. So let's come here and we're gonna say, okay, template, comma separated, parse, split, but on the text. Okay, got it. So we're gonna replace input string with text and we're good to go. Okay, so we're gonna come here and we're gonna say, all right, we're gonna copy this bit here. We're gonna indent this thing here. We're gonna replace this with text and we're gonna return the answers. Yeah, I'm gonna say return answers. All right, so now we're ready to test this thing. We just need to change our prompt template structure to, we're gonna need to change the call to the LLM chain because now we're gonna need to add the output parser that we just defined. So we're gonna test it on Jupyter Notebook and then we're gonna move it to the app. So we're gonna copy this bit and we're gonna put it up here. Let's put this thing here. Okay, so you come here, you come in there. And now, yeah, this part can go here. And beautiful, and we're gonna say output parser is equal to, and we're gonna change the name of this thing, right? This is the answers parser now. Yep. And now this thing is going to be called the answers parser because I want to call it the answers parser, whatever. And boom, let's do it. And now I just realized that this thing is going to return just the answers. Oh, damn it. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So one thing I forgot is that, if I'm adding this, what I'm telling Langchain is, look, this is what I want from the output from the large language model, but that's wrong, right? What I want is the whole thing. I just want to parse that content after for a specific purpose. So I should not add it to the output parser of the thing. So this thing should remain like this. And this thing is no longer needed, the base output parser, at least not for now. I just want the this parse function, which now I'm going to change to parse answers. All right. And now we're going to say, okay, our base output, we're going to use the base output parser. We are going to use the base output parser. But instead of parsing just the answers, we're going to parse both. So let's go back to ChatGPT and we're going to say perfect. Now add another function to parse just the questions part and put it all into one function called parse questions and answers. Go, because I want the regex for parsing the questions and the answers. I'm confident that this is going to be correct, but let's copy and test. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to do this. And let's see, question, answer, question, answer. Yes! Look at that. Wonderful. Beautiful. So parse questions and answers. And this thing is going to return parse data, which is going to be a dictionary. Let's see, parse data. Okay, so it's going to return parse data. It's going to be a dictionary with the question and then the answer, question, answer, question, answer. Yeah. So the key of the parse data, so parse data is going to be the thing that the function returns, right? So we're gonna have our LLM call. We're gonna pass this function that's gonna parse the questions and the answers. That is going to return a dictionary, which I'm not sure I love, but it's fine for now. Maybe it should be two lists. Maybe it should be just answers and questions, yeah. Instead of a dictionary. I think it's fine. We're like, zipping everything. Yeah, it's okay. Okay. So now the parse data is going to be a dictionary where the key is the question and the values of the keys are the answers. So we're going to take this function. We just want the function itself. We don't want the rest of the stuff. Right. We just want this function. And we're going to copy it and we're going to put it right over here. We're going to replace that thing with this thing. Yeah, and this thing, that's true. This thing has to be called parse now. Right, this thing has to be called parse, and then it should be like self text string, and this thing should be called text. Yeah. And now let's say questions answers parser. And now we change the output parser here. It's going to be questions answers parser. Beautiful. And he's saying extra fields not permitted. One validation error. Extra fields not permitted. So extra fields not permitted. I'm thinking that this thing should be. That's annoying. Okay, so the output parser always has to return a string, which is something I didn't know. No, it's not true. That's not true. Is it? Whatever. Let's just return like one list, like questions, answers. Because I think this is acceptable. No, still not acceptable. Extra field not permitted. Chain of parsers. Let's search why is it that it's returning this error for the LLM chain output. Question answers parser, base output parser, text, extra fields not permitted. Parse questions, parse the answers. Before it was gonna be like a thing. Yeah, what's the problem? Let's see. If I said just answers, it would give me the same issue. So this is something else. Self text string. Why is it giving me a mistake here? Output parsers, question answers. Let me see. What is the issue? Text to split, return, self text string. Output parsers. Output parser. There we go. That was just a mess. I just had a mess here. Oh my god, that was horrible. But alright. So now we have the chain and we can take a look at what this thing looks. So now we're gonna have to say, okay, instead of quiz response, we're gonna say questions, answers. And we're gonna say for QA in zip questions, answers, markdown QA. And now let's see if it looks good. And while that thing goes on, I'm gonna be deleting some stuff. Okay, so I thought this would display the thing, but apparently it didn't. So let's just look at the questions. No questions. Look at the answers. No answers. That's not good. That's because it was one list, but I put it as true. That's a mistake. That's because the output is one list and I was returning as true lists. And that didn't work. Okay, now this is annoying. So let's just say quiz. Wait, there we go. Quiz response. Let's just output quiz response to see what we're getting. We're getting two empty lists. So he's not finding anything. Okay, so let's find out why is this thing not returning the thing that we want. So I'm gonna test this on the output that I used with ChatGPT. That's why, because this was not formatted properly. It's saying question 1, question 2. Now it should be questions. Yeah, questions. Yeah, and there should be no digit here. There you go. I think this is a better, I think this is a better parsing of that thing. Let's teach it. So let's say modify this parsing so that it handles strings with the following format. Question 1, question 2. No, it should be, because it wasn't handling those things properly. Okay, so now it will. So let's test out this function. So I'm gonna get that output. I'm gonna test it here. Oh, it has no attribute group. That's not good, is it? No, it ain't good at all. Questions, answers. Let's take a look. I'm using ChatGPT. I should have been using GPT-4. Finally, so now we have something that does the parsing properly. So now we have our parser function that I'm gonna copy here, and I'm gonna bring it over here. Oh, now we gotta format it properly. There we go. We're gonna say self text str. Wonderful, and we're gonna replace it with text. And we're gonna replace it with text. Nice, and now we're gonna execute that chain again. Parser, saying can instantiate abstract class question answer parser with abstract method. That's true, because this function has to be called parse, because it's inheriting from base output parser, which is an abstract method. And when you have this abstract class type of inheritance, you will always have to override the abstract methods defined in the main class. So that's why that thing was like that. And now the chain works, and now I can run this, and hopefully this will work. I am just gonna do a basic index on the answers in the output, because I'm getting too annoyed with this. So we're gonna keep it like this, okay? Then we're gonna get our quiz response. And when we get our quiz response, we're just gonna find the word answers, and anything from there down, we're gonna copy, and we're not gonna do any fancy parsing of any kind. There we go. So now multiple choice, etc., questions, and now we can say markdown, quiz response. And we have our questions, we have our answers, and then true, false, questions, answers, questions, answers. Okay. Yeah, that's true. It's a bit weird that it kind of showed questions for all the types, because I specifically said multiple choice here. Okay, but let's test this chain out the way that it is. So we're gonna go back to the app. We're gonna come here. We're gonna keep this, right? And we're gonna parse the output. We're gonna say something like this. So the quiz response. We're gonna just get the answers, and we're going to remove it from the string. 3 questions. Quiz type is multiple choice. Quiz context is data structures and tararara. The model. The model. We're going to use GPT-4 for this one, so that we get slightly better. So now what we're going to be doing is we're just going to remove the answers part. And let's take a look at it and see what happens. All right, guys, so the battery on my camera ran out, so I'm just gonna walk you through the final steps that I did to get this app to work. I fixed a few things about splitting the questions and answers so that I could output them, print them in the app itself. And then I did a little bit of GPT-4 magic to restructure a little bit the app and leverage session states from Streamlit in order to be able to, within the scope of a button, generate the answers, but then print them outside of the scope of that button. Finally, the app was working great, and I was quite happy with the result. And thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next time.